Make sure process is being run correctly. There's a reason for it. And the reason isn't always just, this is the greatest exercise ever. Sometimes it is. I might argue that, like, yeah, our stuff is good. Like, it is a better exercise. But I don't really care. I don't care about that nuance. I care about the customer experience being the same every time people come in. We're back. We've had a 5-minute break. Part 4 of Care is Currency.
I like that. Just get that on a t-shirt or something.
I do like it. I know. It kind of makes it seem kind of silly, though. Like, hey, do you need a hug? I don't want people, like, hugging me in public.
You're not a big caring guy? Like a lot of hugs?
Remember Dave Chappelle talking about the Care Bears?
No.
He's like, yeah, if you didn't like something, they give them the Care Bear stare. And love would just shoot out of their chest, you know? Anyway, I'm not going to push the skid.
Oh, my God. Starting off with Chef Chappelle.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you got a dad joke for this one?
I do. You ready?
Yes.
I adopted a dog from a blacksmith. As soon as I brought him home, he made a bolt for the door.
I've told that one before. I know. There's only so many out there, right? Like, why was the big cat disqualified from the race?
No.
It was a cheetah.
Nah.
You a big cheetah?
Yeah. We're just going to do a dad joke and one with like Wahlberg and Farrell did, until like, don't laugh.
Yeah, that one wouldn't have got you.
No.
Yours would have got me only because I already knew it. I already told that joke. Shall I read it again, Matt? Shall I read our ethos?
One more time. Do it.
All right. Here we go, guys. This is based on, once again, the conference lecture that I did this year I was like a keynote B-side, if you will, to our actual keynote. But I talked about care as currency and how in our brand with 130 to 150 people, we can literally out-care every other brand. A lot of people ask, what's the moat around our business? Essentially, how are we going to be defensible with technology and just new competitors? And it's just, everything's wide open. Everything's evolving quickly. We get it. We're looking at those things too. But we're going to win with care. And I know that sounds really touchy-feely and there's no metrics to it, which that's not true. I've got tons of them, and we have hard systems. So anyway, this is what I want you guys to hear. The future of Alloy will not be built on luck. It will not be built on quick wins or chasing shiny objects. It will be built on 1,000 small acts of care every day in every location from every owner and every team member. This is not our first rodeo. We've been here before. We've seen what works. And in businesses that win, care more. So my challenge to you is simple. This week, prove it. Care so much it's obvious. Care so much it's contagious. Care so much you can't help but do the boring work every day. That's how you build something that lasts. That's how you change lives. That's how we win.
Boom.
Boom. I like that, man. That's good.
You gotta get that down where you don't gotta read it, man.
I know. It's I'll have to role play it like 4 million times.
Don't you have like a photographic memory or something?
Things. I used to, but I don't know if it's just stuff got squeezed out or what. But yeah, I do have a pretty good memory. Now I have it for weird things. Like I can tell you what shirt you were wearing and exactly what you said in like 3 meetings ago and how your face looked. But
I know
for just raw memorization, scary. Like yeah, pretty good. But yeah, I'll get there. I did it last year for Ann's wedding. I had I officiated it and I did toast and all the things. So I had all that memorized. So I can do it.
Cool.
I just have to practice. Today we're still staying on the same subjects, part 4 of how care is a currency and how we can out-care every other brand. So the one that we're talking about today is run the play. This is more specific to the actual workouts themselves. And we're going to tell some stories and we're going to talk about why it's so important to provide a consistent customer experience. Now, if you've heard me speak at any event, you've probably heard me tell this story. I've been beating this drum for 1,000,000 years on how important it is, but I'm going to retell it for today's purposes. I did a whole podcast on just this, by the way, right?
Was I in it?
No, it was just me.
You just did one by yourself?
I did one by myself.
Attaboy.
It was just the haircut story.
Okay.
That was all. And so, yeah. So I think it's from the E-Myth, if I'm not mistaken. I used to say Good to Great. I think it's from E-Myth. I don't remember. I haven't reread that one in a while. But essentially, it's a story about a guy getting a haircut. Like a neighbor refers him to a new barber. Says, hey, man, this new barbershop open down the street. You ought to go down there and check it out. It's awesome. And he's like, okay. I mean, he's a guy. He's like you and I. He's like, he can go to Sport Clips. He can dip in wherever he wants. No big deal. But he's like, all right, cool. I'll check it out. So, goes in there. And the person at the desk is super friendly and greets them. They're brand new, and he's like, hey, I was referred by so-and-so. She's like, oh, that's great. And she's like, well, have a seat. I'll let the barber know that you're here. Would you like water or a cup of coffee? And he's like, I'll take a cup of coffee. She's like, yeah, well, I'll get that for you real quick. And he's like, oh, it's pretty nice. I mean, barbershop, right? It's like, where are you going to get that? So he gets his cup of coffee. Awesome. And then when it's time, the lady says, hey, the barber's ready for you. And she walks him over and she introduces him to the barber. The barber's a super nice guy. He sits him down and basically says, listen, you're in luck. I just got back from a seminar on hair, hair cutting seminars. You got to keep your certification up to date. And he's like, I learned if I cut your hair just with the scissors and I don't use the clippers, it gives you a better haircut. It doesn't tear the ends of your hair. And he's like, he's like you and I. He's like, all right, whatever. Just cut it. I got to go, right?
Right.
So anyway, he goes on to cut his hair. Nice conversation. Now, somewhere during that haircut, the person that's working the desk swings by and is like, hey, can I freshen up your coffee? And he's like, man, hell yeah, this is great. Freshens up his coffee. Awesome. So when his haircut's finished, the guy turns him around as they do. Ta-da, hair looks great, So anyway, he's leaving the facility. The person at the desk stops him. They're like, hey, would you like to book another session? And he's like, yeah, I got to work once a month. Let's go 4 weeks from now. She's like, okay, cool. So they book a time, comes back in 4 weeks. It's on Saturday. So, it's like Monday's National Bench Press Day in every gym in the nation. Saturdays, every guy gets his haircut, right? So it's packed. So he comes in. It's a little bit harried. The lady gives him a quick cup of coffee, doesn't really greet him like she did the first time, doesn't know his name this time. She says, oh, hey. And then she's like, would you like some coffee? And she just gives him a half-filled cup of coffee. It's kind of lukewarm. No biggie. He gets it. They're busy, She never really comes back to let him know that the barber's ready. And the barber just kind of leans back when he's ready and just waves him back. Sounds more usual, right? Like what you normally get. So he goes, sits down, barber greets him pretty abruptly. Things are busy. He needs to keep it moving. This time he pulls out the clippers, right? And he shaves the back of it, and then he cuts the rest with scissors. And he's like, that's weird. I mean, he remembers him telling him, I just got back from a seminar. This won't, tear the ends of your hair, but whatever. He spins them around, and when he's done, ta-da, hair looks exactly the same. He's like, oh, cool, same haircut.
Right.
Then he's leaving, and the lady catches him on the way out and says, hey, 4 weeks, right? You want to book another appointment in 4 weeks? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that, right? Next time he comes back, it's over the holidays, so it's like dead in there, right? So when he walks in, the barber yells after a minute from the back while he's standing at the desk, hey, so-and-so's out of town. We don't have any coffee made. Do you want to grab a water or something out of the fridge? And he's like, no, I'm good. He's like, all right, well, I'll be with you in just a minute, right? So sits down, waits. The barber waves him over when he's ready. Now, this time he sits him down and he sprays his hair with water. And I might have left this out early, but the cutting it with the scissors and not the clippers, also, you do it when your hair's dry, is what he said. Who knows why? This time he sprays it, wets his hair, cuts it with the scissors, fully, no clippers. Right? And he's like, that's weird. It's just different, right? But same amount of time goes by, spins him around, and he honestly looks in the mirror. He cannot tell the difference in his haircut, not at all. And this time the barber walks him halfway to the front and says, hey, do you want me to put you on the schedule, a month or so from now? And he says in the book, I'll never go back there again, and it has nothing to do with the haircut. And so basically what he's saying in a nutshell, and why the E-Myth is so important for, again, amplifying and putting a spotlight on why systems are so good. The hair was the same every time. Think of the hair as our workout, right? But because it was a different customer experience every time he went in, there was a disconnect. And it was such a disconnect, even though he had the same haircut, he didn't want to go back anymore, right? And it's a small example, and it is a story, but it's a small example of how everyone doing the same thing reasonably well, consistently, is really important. It's actually way more important, and maybe better even than every now and then providing a knock your socks off level of service, but then the next time they're in, it's maybe below the midline, and next time it's up and it's down. It's the whiplash you get from the this and that and this and that. It's not consistent. And so that's where you run into trouble, is if your team is not delivering the play consistently the same as a team every time. You don't want a discrepancy from one coach to the other, right? You don't. And to make a point about that, we've literally had that happen here, where we had a great coach that worked here, and he had a group of people in front of him, and he was just excited. And so he's like, and one of them said something about some hip mobility, and he's like, oh, cool. Let's do this today for warm up then. This was really good for your hips, right? So again, we have a scripted warm up. There's always hip mobility in there in some way, shape, or form. But this person with no malice in their heart, literally just decided to I'm going to try to please these customers better by doing this hip thing, right? No harm, no foul in his mind, right? Fine. Workout goes down as planned. Everything's great. Subtle, right? I don't think anybody would even really notice it until Wednesday when a different coach is coaching that same shift and those same clients are back in there again and they do their introductions and they're getting ready to start the warm up. And that client from Monday raises their hand and says, hey, are we going to do it this way? Because that's what Billy did on Monday. And bam, there you are. There's the haircut. There's the clippers versus the not the clippers. That's the wet hair versus the dry hair, right? Mm-hmm. Are both things good for hip mobility? Yes. Is a curtsy lunge the same as a normal lunge? Pretty much, right? So, but the point is that the customer doesn't know that. And there's a massive disconnect if you are delivering it different. So you absolutely have to be delivering a consistent customer experience. You practice the workouts. That's what you do in your team meetings. Everybody ought to be on the same page. And that person who maybe even in their mind is going out of their way to provide an exceptional customer service is actually shooting themselves and the team in the foot by creating something that's off script that doesn't allow the other coaches to understand what's going on, and then they deliver it and there's a disconnect, right? And then you lose the customer. It's that subtle at times. That's why it's so important for Alloy owners and anybody that owns a business to make sure process is being run correctly. There's a reason for it. And the reason isn't always just, this is the greatest exercise ever. Sometimes it is. I might argue that our stuff is good. It is a better exercise, but I don't really care. I don't care about that nuance. I care about the customer experience being the same every time people come in.
Yeah, this unfortunately is one of those things that you don't see until after the fact, right? Because everything's, great on those good experiences and happy, and it's easy to be sucked in and be like, oh, that was, really cool, and kind of go with it, if you will, until it isn't, right? Until that coach, I think we've talked about it on the podcast. We had, one location where they had a director that was doing things outside of the normal and giving people lots of extra work in the sessions that he trained with corrective exercises and stretching and not running the play all the way. Well, at the time, the people that he was seeing was great. You're like, oh, he's the best. I want to be with him. Well, guess what? As soon as that person left, that's when you feel the pain. And it could not be for 3 months, 6 months, or, 7 months down the road. But when that happens, that's a tough thing to overcome, because now in your customer's mind, nobody's going to live up to this person, and you may not be able to keep them around.
And I promise you, if we thought it was necessary with 34 years of experience and having access to the best strength coaches and scientists in the world, we'd be doing it.
Right.
So while you're doing that, it could be with altruistic reasons that you're trying to help this customer and you create a great customer experience. We're not saying that that's not important. But we're talking about 55 other ways you can do that. Text them after the workout. Do surprisingly personable. Run the 7 core tenets of a session, right? That's what you do. There's zero reason to change the structure of the workouts unless A, you're getting into your ego and you don't want to run the play, or B, you just lost the script and you felt like, hey, this would be a better, a customer uplift. It's not. It might be perceptually because you're excited about it because it's, again, air quote, your idea. Nobody cares, right? At the end of the day, that customer's having a different experience with every coach that they come in to work out with, and that is not a good thing ultimately for your business, period.
Yeah, all the systems are in place to take care of the customers the best and have the most healthiest business possible. That's what it is. You said, we all say the same things. We all do the same things. You could work out with anybody on our team, and we'll take care of you. And then from a customer standpoint, they're not having that up and down roller coaster where Monday's awesome, Wednesday sucks, Friday's awesome, because that is just a disturbance to them and will eventually lead to downfall.
Yeah. And if you think this is all kumbaya campfire and there's no metrics behind it, you're sorely mistaken. So McKinsey & Company did a study on hundreds of companies. And what they found is companies that could provide a consistent customer experience. And as a side note, here's what they meant by consistent. If 1 was the worst experience and 10 was the best, we're talking about a 5, 6. We're not, no one sits in a boardroom and at the start of the year and they're like, our objective this year is to be 100% mediocre across the board. The fact is, if you can be consistently good, you don't have to be blow your socks off great. If you're consistently good, the metrics and all the studies on these companies, their revenues were 15% higher. So they made more money if they just showed up consistently. Out of 5, by the way. Don't forget that, right?
Yep.
They had 20% less cost of servicing those customers, right? It's like, okay, so all the other things that we're thinking about and talking about, a lot of it could be mitigated if you just run the play consistently, even if it's a 5. I know nobody wants 5, but like might be more realistic than a 10. And it goes to show you that a consistent 5 beats a periodic 10, a random 10, any day of the week.
Absolutely.
Right? And then ultimately what they ask the companies, how many of you, when they polled the companies in the study, feel like you provide a consistent customer experience? 87% said we do. The customers of those companies were polled. How many of them do you think said a customer consistent experience was being provided to them?
I think he told me 9.
9%.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big disconnect between 87 and 9. I'm not saying we're not somewhere in between or we might be hitting on all cylinders, but I think it just goes to show there's probably room for improvement in this area for everyone. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Especially in our field.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in our field, right? I have a great example. There's a candidate in the pipeline right now who works out at an alloy club. When candidates are in the pipeline looking at an alloy opportunity, they're usually directed to our podcast to listen to who we're about, what our objectives are. And this individual went in and they watched the haircut, story video, and they watched a few other like 7 core tenets and all the things. And now they're actually experiencing it. It's a husband, wife. He's got his kids involved, right? So a lot of people are in his family and they're talking at home around the dinner table about, hey, do you like, Susie versus Jenny as an example? And he's like, it was interesting listening to what you guys are trying to accomplish behind the scenes because everybody liked Jenny better, right? But the only reason was Jenny did all the things that you talked about. So Jenny did greet by name within 10 seconds entering the door. Mm-hmm. They touch them on the arm at some point. Explain the exercise through their lens, right?
Yep.
Gave them a little bit of an attaboy. Made sure they were scheduled for the next session. All the things that, by the way, they're a system for us. They were running those consistently. And there was a bit of a disconnect when they would go to a different coach and those things wouldn't happen, right? And so it wasn't like Jenny was going outside the framework of what's already built. She was just running the play, and the next person not. So his question, which I think was $1 million question, as an owner, how do I control this customer experience to make sure there's not a disconnect from one coach to the other? Fuck, $1 million question, man. I'm like, you know what, dude? Come on, join the franchise. If that's where your head's at, we're going to love you here, right? Like, come on. And the answer was, listen, we can secret shop. You can secret shop the 7 core tenants. It's like, not to get folks in trouble, just to say like, hey, is there any areas that we're killing it in? And let's go high five there. And if not, maybe there's some areas we need to improve on, But how impactful is that it's somebody that's looking at it through the consumer lens, here's what we're trying to accomplish, and is like, oh yeah, that's why so-and-so is favorable to so-and-so, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
it's like,
that's good stuff.
Look, it's all on the iPad. Like we talk about that. Grab the iPad. One of our mechanisms is the coach gets there early. They populate the iPad with the 6 tiles. They look ahead at who's coming in that day. Part of that is making sure that you keep the notes updated, because let's say that you're a coach that's on Monday and then you're supposed to be there Wednesday. Let's say you work every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, mm-hmm. and the same crowd's coming Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. So you're like, well, I already know them all. I don't need to pull out the iPad. I get it. Sure. Makes a lot of sense. But if you have somebody new, you better have it out. And you better be updating the notes, because let's say that you're on vacation next week, right? Mm-hmm. And the person that picks up that iPad has got faulty data or old data that's not even relevant anymore, right? Well, then they're going to be asking that stupid question that we hate in personal training, which is like, do you have any injuries? Is there anything we need to be working around? What are your goals? I'm like, bro, or sis, it's right there on the iPad. And if it isn't, it needs to be, right? That's where that should be. You shouldn't even have to ask. You should be like, oh, cool, hip replacement? Oh, yeah, man, I had 3 people already this morning that had those. How's that doing? Okay, great, By the way, another reason to have that iPad out is not just for like the stuff that never changes. The mechanisms are we can pin stuff like joint replacement or things that don't change to the top, right? Mm-hmm. But also it's a great chance to say like maybe this person's daughter's getting married in 6 weeks and they're really motivated right now. How would it be if everybody on the team that picked up that iPad was like, hey, Matt, 4 weeks left, man. Are you ready? You been eating good? You ready for that dress or whatever that is, right? It's like,
I'm not wearing a dress.
Oh, you're not? Okay. I thought I'd catch you there. Yeah. How cool is that? You're talking about great customer service. I always relate this back to the Ritz-Carlton story of I could go check in there now after not staying there for a million years, right? And it's on the computer. I know it's a system. It still feels good. It's still impactful. The person at the desk will be like, well, hello, Mr. Mayo. Do you still take the Wall Street Journal? And I'm like, yes. You know, I feel like grits some grape upon. You know, it's like,
it's a sports section. Don't lie.
yeah, exactly. You got any Looney Tunes cartoons back there? You got the comics? Well, exactly. Whatever it would be, the fact is there's a system. They see me. It's something personal. No different than reading off that iPad that somebody's getting married, or they like to do this, or they like this football team. Like, you can put soft things in their notes that are relevant to what they're doing right now. One of them, we always say, like, maybe you twisted your ankle. That doesn't take a complete program redesign. It just takes like a week off of like whatever. Maybe you stubbed your toe really hard trying to grab the phone and you can't bend your foot well. So, reverse lunges are off the table. Mm-hmm. So you got to come up with an alternative. How cool would it be next time you're in for that coach with the iPad to say, like, Matt, how's your toe today? Is it feeling better? And they're like, oh, you heard about that? It's like, oh, yeah, it's right here in the notes. So-and-so let me know. I got to work around that. Yep. They're like, oh, that's awesome, right? I'm telling you, one little thing like that, it's almost like surprisingly personable. It's so rare that happens, and all it is the boring work effort to keep the data straight so that everybody on the team's running the same play. Anyway, I get fired up about this one. I could beat a dead horse, but is there anything you want to add to just run the dang play?
No, I mean, all the stuff's in place. You've mentioned it. And, if you're a coach, what you need to hear is, you see Rick's shirt, if you're watching on video, do your job or own it. Like, do the prep. Like, it's there. Like, I tell people at training, is it too much to ask that you know what's going on with that customer that is, by the way, paying you $500 a month to come train with you? Like, it's not too much to ask. We give you the mechanisms. And if you do this, you're going to be above every other fitness brand around you.
Yeah. And don't you want to be great? Like, where's that? Where's the burning desire to be really freaking great at what you do?
Yep.
And to help people. And I'm telling you, if the experience is consistent, they're going to show up more. You're going to get them in better shape. Everyone's going to make more money, and the whole world is a better place for it. So, like, just run the play, you guys. That's all I have to say about that.
Love it.
All right. Peace.